Alright, so I'm at the 2025 NAMM show, and in this video I'm going to show you all the most interesting and unusual synth and keyboard stuff that I've seen so far. First up is the String Armonica from Walkabout Electronics, a really cool string instrument that you actually play with a MIDI keyboard.
So this is the String Armonica. It's our new electromagnetic synthesizer. It's a 40-note polyphonic synthesizer, which allows you to use a MIDI keyboard or play MIDI files from your computer and resonate the strings to get, you know, chime-like Celeste type sounds. If you run it through distortion and stuff, you can just get crazy sounds.
That's what I wanted to hear yesterday when I was trying it. I was like, this is amazing. I want to hear like feedback and like it going off the rails.
Yeah, it's kind of cool if you turn up your speakers really loud, the strings can start to feedback.
Yeah.
Next up is the ROLI Airwave, an incredible MIDI controller that allows you to manipulate the sound with gestures in the air. I actually got to demo the Airwave back when it was first announced. I was on tour, and when we stopped through London, I played it at the O2 Arena. I made a whole video about that, which you can check out here.
So you oversaw some of the design and development of this thing?
Exactly, so I'm the product manager for all of ROLI's music creation products.
Can you give a kind of brief overview of what the Airwave is?
Exactly, so it's essentially a MIDI controller that tracks your hand position. It works best with the ROLI keyboards, but it essentially allows you to control multiple different parameters within the synth all at the same time. So like we have air raise, which is the height of your wrist. That's one parameter for the sound designers. Air glide, air slide, air tilt, air grasp, air flex.
That must have been quite the technical feat to figure out exactly what you could do with the camera, what the camera could like read, which gestures to incorporate.
Exactly, it's been quite a process. The challenge is part of why I do the job. Essentially, we started with the technology. We started with what we wanted to do. Then we had the technology, and we had to sort of figure out how to take all these hand joints and these hand positions and make something musical from them.
Yeah.
Next up is this Moog Beanbag chair, because, come on, obviously I need a Moog Beanbag chair.
Where can I get a couch like that?
That's a good question. I think they are over in Europe somewhere.
Well, they are actually available.
I don't know if they're still available. So, you know, as you can see, they kind of turn the Moog name upside down. It's the mini woof. Okay. So that would be the thing to look for, but I'm pretty sure this is from Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
still available?
No. There's like 1 or 2 or 3 of those to exist. It's a prototype.
No, they're not
Honestly,
available.
I feel like
What's it worth to you, sir?
What do you need? Anything?
Well, given that we are in Asheville, North Carolina, and our tourism was wiped out by the flood, $25K would be the starting point.
I'm in. I'm ready to invest. Let's do it. Let's go.
Next up is the Demonbox from Eternal Research. This chaotic instrument can make sound from anything that produces electromagnetic frequencies.
So, what inspired you to make this crazy thing?
I think a lot of it came from just having a different experience of music. I got into music quite late in life. I'm 40 now, but I got in when I was like 25. And I always wanted to learn the cello or the piano from a little young age, but I never got into it. But I just had a musical urge. And I actually devised this mostly from my experience in experimental photography. I was doing portraits using 3 cameras on one model at the same time. So I'd photograph someone straight on the side, and then from behind, and I'd make that like a montage. And that seemed like a more full version of what a person was. And then, taking it to sound, I was like, well, we're only listening to sound from one direction. You know, it's like taking a portrait. So what if the portrait is from many angles at once, and then we can see it from different perspectives and characters.
There's something about like the aggressive, chaotic noise that like viscerally is very satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, it is cathartic in a sense because I feel like classical music is about constraint and control.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a part, you know, when you're in nature and you hear lightning, I love lightning more than almost anything.
Yeah.
And that's the rawest sound you can ever find.
Next up is this Banan-A-Synth, because why not? By the way, if anybody knows anybody over at Dole Foods, tell them I'm available for a brand deal.
Syntheset is $49.95. All right, so this is the Banan-A-Synth, and if I ground myself here and then touch one of the notes, it'll play a note. We have our own website, and we have Amazon. That's like 40/40, and then 20 is like small retailers. So it's electricity. A little bit of electricity goes from ground through me and then back to one of the notes, which are connected to these touchpads.
Next up is the Studio 110 by synthesizers.com, an amazing huge modular system that looks like an old Moog modular but is actually modern.
This is a large format, MU format modular synthesizer. So this is by a company called synthesizers.com. We make all of these in Texas. They're all handmade stuff. So the thing about large format is you got big knobs here to really reach in and turn things and really interact with the instrument. It's different in a tactile and awesome way. So we love these things. They're all handmade down in Texas. It's a turnkey package, and it's in the vein of the old Moog systems, but it's all proprietary electronics and stuff behind the van.
Next up is the WindKey, an electronic melodica.
So we put the PCM recorded Melodica sound and some MIDI sound together.
Gotcha.
10 sound put together too, and we call the WindKey called WindKey.
Next up is this Celeste made by Schiedmayer. Unfortunately, you can't really hear it because it's fully acoustic, very quiet, and there isn't even really one place to put a mic since the parts that make sound are distributed over a wide area. But it doesn't matter anyway because this thing is 40 grand, and so I'm never going to own one, and neither will you. Still amazing though, because I've always wanted to play a Celeste. And of course, what better way to honor the seriousness of the Celeste but to follow it with the Otamotone?
All right, this is the Otamotone Jumbo. Just like the name suggests, it's a jumbo version of the regular Otamotone. Pretty much all the same features. Obviously, the head is a little big, so it's hard to squeeze with your hand. That's why it's fitted with a special clamp.
I was gonna ask, do you like squeeze it with your knees or something like that?
No, it's fitted with a special hand clamp to open and close the mount. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's just a giant Otamotone.
Here, how about you play it since you're good at it, and I'll hold the thing up too.
Okay, I'll try. Otamotone is an invention of Maywood Denki. He makes a lot of different nonsense machines, and they all fit into a different category. And Otamotone comes out of his voice series. So it's designed to mimic the human voice and the mechanics of that.
Next up is the Walkabout Carrier, made by Walkabout Carriers.
What is this company? Is it like just you guys, or?
Yeah, so it's called Walkabout Carriers. The inventor is here, Matt. He's the inventor. And basically he pretty much created a way so that way we're able to do some action without having to be on a table in case you want to just actually perform on a stage or some type of intuitive performance. You can do it. you know.
It has to be inspired by the
Oh, yeah.
marching band drum
Yeah.
thing.
Yes, yes.
Is it like repurposed elements of those things?
Yes. So
Okay.
it's pretty much coming from that background. And now that we're seeing now that everything's becoming a little bit more portable. Sometimes if things need like some type of battery support, we have versions like this one that does have battery support right here.
Cool. Great for busking. You ever go to the subways with this thing?
Well, yeah. So I mean, this one's brand new, but we've had people come in here and just jam. You know what I mean? So
I will say my back hurts a little, but
no problem.
my back already hurt a little from walking around all day.
I
So it's mostly that.
Real quick, before I get to the last piece of gear, I just want to shout out my other NAMM video, which is a section from my performance at the ROLI booth, in which I played 3 David Gilmour guitar solos on the ROLI C-board. You can click on that in the top right, and please do, because I worked really hard putting it together. Okay, back to the video. And lastly, let's close it out with the Third Wave by Groove Synthesis. This keyboard is a modern take on the old PPG wave, so its focus is wavetable synthesis, but it does a whole lot more than that. The inventor, Bob Coover, is a friend of mine, and I actually did some sound design for this keyboard, and those patches will be going out with the next update.
All right, what is this big, beautiful blue thing you got here?
Okay, this big, beautiful blue thing is what we call the Third Wave, and it is what we imagine would have happened if PPG wouldn't have gone out of business back in the 80s. They had a 2.0, they had a 2.2, they had a 2.3, and those were all 2 oscillators. This is a 3 oscillator synth, and we called it the Third Wave. Yeah, and it, as a starting point, it does do the PPG processing chain exactly. So they would play up, depending on the one that you look at, they had roughly about a 200 kilohertz playback rate, which means you didn't get much aliasing, but you should get these otherworldly sounds. So these are patches off of a PPG, so, and they should have this kind of otherworldly texture and sound to it. This is a factory patch. What else would it do though? Well, what you're hearing and what's making it sound so glassy is because it did something called imaging. So you would get images of the spectrum that should have been filtered out, but they didn't do that. And so as a result, you get this high garbage that comes down back into where you can hear when you do lower notes. And I'm going to play some really low notes here. All that stuff up at the top, it's harmonically related garbage, and it stays with the notes. So it's not aliasing, it's because you're bringing the spectrum back down into it. So that's what you're getting there. So I always ask this, can you tell me whether you're hearing effects or not? Well, this is one that's still using the PPG patches here, so.
I have to imagine, based on how the question is formed, that you're not using effects. I'm probably supposed to say it sounds like a phaser or something.
Well, yeah, and
but it's just a wavetable.
It's a wavetable that so we're taking the patch, because this is binaural, we're taking the patch and we're putting it hard left, hard right, and walking through a wavetable at slightly different rates.
Wow.
So there is the PPG stuff.
I gotta say, in some ways I was like skeptical at first, but it really sold me and like won my heart with everything else it could do other than just the wavetable stuff.
Right.
Because no one form of synthesis is like it always, forever, till the end of time, and you only want that thing in a keyboard. It's like, this can do so much other stuff other than the wavetable stuff, and the combination of all those things is what makes it so special.